testifiers in Pahoa?
Good morning, Madam Chair. We do not have any testifiers for this committee this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Ka'u, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. We do not have any testifiers for your committee. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And if there are any testifiers here in Hilo, I don't see any. I know we have some people here for different agenda items, but I don't see any testifiers. Okay. Mr. Clerk, can you please read in Communication 24.3?
Communication 24.3, report of change orders authorized December 1st through 15th, 2014 from Finance Director Nancy Crawford, dated December 22nd, 2014, transmitting the above report pursuant to Hawaii County Code Section 2-12.3.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve Communication 24.3?
So moved.
Is there any discussion, council members? Okay, these are change orders. And, okay, seeing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Clerk, Communication 24.4.
Communication 24.4, report of change orders authorized December 16th through the 31st, 2014 from Finance Director Deanna Sacco, dated January 13, 2015, transmitting the above report pursuant to Hawaii County Code Section 2-12.3.
Okay, motion to approve Communication 24.4.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kanuha and second by Ms. Poindexter. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving to Communication 33.1.
Communication 33.1, report of fund transfers authorized December 16th through the 31st, 2014 from Controller K. Oshiro, dated January 5th, 2015.
We have a motion to approve Communication 33.1.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kanuha, second by Ms. Poindexter. Is there any discussion? Ms. Willie.
I have a question. Under this, we are purchasing the vacuum truck. So is that to replace, I don't know whether somebody here from, can just answer a
We
quick
see our
question.
Deputy Director, Ms. Naho'opi'i. And just please state your name for the record. And your
Good morning. My name is Lisa Naho'opi'i Mira, Deputy Director of Finance.
Okay, so what it appears is that we're purchasing one of these trucks to address the dry well, since we're no longer going to be doing this on a contract basis.
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted clarification on that. Thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you for moving along on this.
Any other comments?
Okay, I'll go first.
Mr. Anishi?
Thank you. I had a question. So cost-wise, because it was in the paper about it, and it mentioned about in the long term, will the county be saving money or will the county be spending more?
The goal is for the county to be saving money by handling our own pump truck and not contracting that work out and being subject to private bidders.
And do you folks have numbers to show from the first year to 5 years, this is what going to be saving, and from 5 to 10 years? Because, with union contracts and all that, it could go higher than what one private company could be doing.
You mean the cost for the county employees to be running the pump truck
Correct.
instead? I
And
don't
the
have the
maintenance
numbers here. I wasn't in the discussions because it happened all in 2014. So I could ask to have somebody come down with those
Okay.
numbers.
Because this is going to be, it's a communication, so we're not going to be hearing. Yeah, so I guess if you could maybe forward
Okay.
that to the council members so that we know what is the cost savings and, in the long term, because maintenance going to come into a factor, right? And in case this thing should break down, what is the next options you folks going to have, and so forth.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Just let me state that Mr. Onishi has joined the committee. Okay. All in favor of filing and approving communication 33.2, please say aye.
Aye.
I mean 33.1, I'm sorry. Please say aye. Thank you. Okay, that's 9 ayes. Mr. Clerk, communication 33.2.
Communication 33.2, report of fund transfers authorized November 16th through the 30th, 2014 from Controller K. Oshiro dated December 11th, 2014.
Can I have a motion to file communication 33.2?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kanuha, second by Ms. Poindexter. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes. Mr. Clerk, communication 56.
Communication 56, 2014 Annual Report of the Real Property Tax Board of Review from Tax Board of Review Chairman Scott Church, dated December 17, 2014, transmitting the annual report pursuant to Section 19-97E Hawaii County Code.
May I have a motion to file communication 56?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kanuha, second by Ms. David. Is there any discussion? Ms. Willie?
Someone here from the review board,
I see Mr. Stan Sitko from the Real Property Tax Division.
but nobody from the board. Okay, well, Stan, you can.
Thank you. You can state your name, please, first.
Stan Sitko, Real Property Tax Administrator.
Thank you.
Hi, Stan, and if you have any particular comments you'd like to add to this, but I do notice that there were 326 appeals, well, a lot of appeals, 85 from East Hawaii and 241 from West Hawaii. And I just wonder, this is an increase from 229 the previous year, so there's still many, but I just wondered if you have any comments of there ways that we could, try to avoid having quite so many appeals, and other than just reducing everybody's taxes arbitrarily. So.
Regarding appeals, that actually is an extremely low number. That's actually the second lowest number since I've been here since 2001. Our peak year, we had over 1,541.
Okay.
And normally I would expect around the range of 600 to 800. So we're still keeping fairly low.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. It looked high to me. Is there any other comment just generally? It looks like everything's doing well and that we put quite a burden on the people on this board, so I appreciate all that they do. This is looks like a lot of work.
If I may add, they are extremely good volunteers. For a lunch and and some mileage, they do some very heavy-duty work. It's not a popular position. We're always looking for more volunteers, and we are also internally within the division over the last several years. We've been working on an educational program.
I see that.
And one of their suggestions, we've managed to reinstate the statewide conference this year after a hiatus of about 2 years, which is one of the things they had asked for.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Mr. Paleka.
Good morning, Mr. Sitko. I was just concerned about one item, and that's number 7 on the comments and recommendations of the board. If there was anything that would be forthcoming regarding the homeowners class or the owner-occupied property used for caregiving, since it was a recommendation of the board.
Currently, the ordinance are being able to grant the homeowners class. We do allow home occupations. However, that is a little bit of out of our jurisdiction. That is a planning decision, and our ordinance refers specifically to how planning defines a home occupation. So it's something that we could consider, but kind of not in our ballpark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pleca. Go ahead, Mr. Iligan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I ask a question to Councilmember Paleka?
Yes?
Councilmember Paleka, what did you have in mind when you asked that question? What were your concerns?
Since it was a recommendation of the board, I was just curious as to any resolution being brought forward to the council for consideration. That's all.
I was just curious. Thank you.
Something to be brought to attention for the whole council.
If I might, we had a task force last year, and we kind of started with a list that was prioritized by the prior group, the ad hoc committee and we're working our way down it, and I think this will be one of the things that we might consider should the task force be reinstituted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. David?
Yes, Mr. Sitko, I just have a clarification off of what Councilmember Paleka said. So at this point, the recommendation is to amend that section, but is that a departmental initiative, or they just they'll make the recommendation, and then who implements that recommendation?
In the end result, we grant the exemption or not, but by ordinance, once again, we are using the definition that planning does, so it would require coordination between both departments.
Okay. And one more quick question. The appeals, I'm guessing, are they generally appealing the assessment rates out of all these appeals? They're predominantly appealing the assessment?
Value is probably the largest appeal amount. However, they can also, and a significant number of our appeals are because we're not granting an exemption or, let's say, ag use.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments, council members? Well, just thank you, Mr. Sitko, and I wanted to say thank you to the Board of Review for doing their work. And I read the report, and so I'd like to also say thank you to Corporation Counsel Craig Masuda and Nina Swain, who I was informed were outstanding support system to the board. So thank you very much. All in favor of filing communication 56, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. It's 9 ayes. Okay, moving to Mr. Clerk, Resolution 55-15.
Order of Resolutions. Resolution 55-15 authorizes the Office of the Mayor to enter into an agreement with the Hawaii Health Systems Corporation, Hilo Medical Center, HMC, pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute Section 46-7 to provide disposal services of non-hospital infectious waste from the Hawaii Fire Department's Emergency Medical Services Bureau. Provides for the disposal of non-hospital infectious waste at a cost of $3.50 per pound, which may be increased upon written notice by HMC. Reference Communication 88, introduced by Ms. Eoff.
Can I have a motion to approve Resolution 55-15?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Willie and second by Mr. Kanuha. Comments and questions? Ms. Willie.
Yeah, do we have someone here that could come forward? And do we have anyone here from the Hilo Hospital? No.
Mr. Uchida, can you please state your name?
Good morning, Lance Uchida, Battalion Chief, Hawaii Fire Department, EMS Bureau.
And I'm not sure you can answer this question, or it's really directed more at the hospital, but perhaps you know, because so this involves like bringing in sharps or needles and things that are used for emergency services, and we'll now have a contract with the Hospital. And can you tell me what you've been doing previous to this?
Okay, yes. That's a good question. Historically, the hospitals used to accept all of our bio waste. Couple administrations ago, the fire department went on a direction to procure their own EMS supplies separate from the hospital. And several years later, the hospital stopped accepting any pre-hospital or outside of the hospital waste. So since that time, we've put it out to bid for contract private services for private vendors.
Let's see. Okay, and if you do know, so what do private parties do right now in terms of sharps? Is there something at once a year or something at different transfer stations, or do you know?
Well, when we put it out to bid or finance put out to bid, then we got private vendors come and follow whatever federal and state guidelines to dispose of thereafter. So we contract them to come pick up maybe 3 times a year, and they dispose of it following the regulations. What was interesting is that the last bid review, it was noticed that one vendor in particular had made notes in the bidder's exception that it had to fit Hilo Medical Center's waste disposal, I guess, configurations. So at that point, we called Hilo Medical Center and asked if they were available to contract with county government. And they said, yeah, so we pursued a contract with them.
Okay, so that's good. I see in the contract that you have here, it talks about Hilo Medical Center accepts non-hospital infectious waste on Wednesdays, which, that makes, since trying to focus on zero waste and how do we deal with all our waste issues. I wondered, it would certainly be good if they also accepted it at the Kona Hospital and the Waimea Hospital, and private parties. I mean, there are many people doing in-home care and not knowing what to do, and we don't want this stuff ending up in a landfill where it shouldn't be, where it's just so inconvenient. People don't know where to put things. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions, council members? No? Thank you very much. All in favor of approving Resolution 55-15, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? That's 9 ayes. Mr. Clerk, can you please read Bill 20?
Bills for ordinances. Bill 20 amends ordinance number 14-82 as amended relating to public improvements and financing thereof for the fiscal year July 1st, 2014 to June 30th, 2015. Adds the environmental management Hilo Ocean Outfall Assess Repair Project for $4.95 million to the capital budget. Funds for the project shall be provided from general obligation bonds, capital projects fund, fund balance, and or other sources. Funds would be used towards design and construction costs related to protection of the exposed portion of the shoreline outfall pipe located in Hilo, to perform an assessment of the ocean outfall and to repair leaking joints. Reference Communication 82, introduced by Ms. Eoff.
We have a motion to approve Bill 20.
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Willie and second by Ms. David. Is there any discussion? I see Ms. Willie.
Yeah, Dora, or is someone from the department can come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Dora Beck, Wastewater Division Chief.
Thank you.
Hi, Dora. I had a lot of trouble understanding what this was all about. What do these words I have going over? Okay, public. We're now doing an assessment of the Hilo Ocean outfall. Does everybody understand what that means? I mean, just so I think this is from the sewage, right? Or what is this? And it's following up on a EPA finding a violation. If you could just a couple minutes just explain what is going on here. It's $4.5 million, so for almost $5 million.
Sure, I'd be glad to explain. First of all, let me explain the Hilo outfall. That's the pipe that conveys sewage out 3/4 of a mile from the shoreline, from the Hilo wastewater treatment plant. So this is treated wastewater. The assessment portion means that, okay, let me back up to the EPA order, which was issued to the department last, I believe it was September, and they have ordered us to repair the leaks in the pipe. These are actually leakage at the joints, which you can expect some sort of, some amount of leakage in the pipes. But because they deem it as a not in keeping with the NPDES permit, the discharge permit, because you cannot have any discharge, so they would like us to fix it. So they've expedited this process by issuing the administrative order. So that's what that is. So the assessment portion is our approach, where we will be doing in an internal assessment. We're going to send a mechanical robot down into the pipe and look to see what's there, and then determine what's the best way to fix it. So what you see, the amounts on the FIS sheets, those are just merely estimates. We are waiting for a proposal to do the assessment of the internal pipe. And we expect to have that done with a contract executed probably in the next month or so.
And when were these leaks? Somehow I was thinking it was 2010, but these are just recently discovered leaks, or was this, when were these leaks found?
These leaks are, we did an investigation sometime last year, just quickly with the dye test, to affirm some of these leaks, and affirm that there were, a couple of spots that needed to be repaired.
Okay, joint leak. So they're relatively recent leaks. When was it inspected previous to that?
I think a few years back. We're supposed to do inspections every 5 years.
Every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Onishi?
Hey, Dara. Two questions. One is, are you folks looking at like putting in that lining, like how you folks did like Kalananoli sewer line? Would that be possible? That inserting that lining inside of the existing pipeline that you folks have, like how you guys did Kalananaoli.
Oh no, it would not be anything extensive like that. We would be focused on the joints.
Or just the joints.
Yeah.
But then with your inspection, like you saying, you're going to send in that robotic, whatever thing that you're going to be sending in, but then what if you find out that some of the piping is like deteriorating?
Well, then at that point, we would assess what kind of extent and what nature, and then determine what the repair method will be. Okay. And then that will be the next phase. That's where the construction portion comes in.
Okay. And then this pipe, it goes out by Puhi Bay?
Yes.
Okay. Now, has the health department been testing the waters in that area?
They do some water quality testing along shoreline, but not along the pipe.
Okay.
I know.
But in that area, they do tests to make sure that the water...
They do testing for their own purposes, which is basically water
Are you
quality.
folks testing the water?
No, we do whatever testing that is required of us per the discharge permit, but that's more closer to shoreline.
But my other question would be is like, what is the closest to the shoreline that you folks found that it's leaking, like the joints? How far out from the shoreline?
I think there's one leak That's probably, now just off the top of my head,
Right.
think about maybe perhaps 1,000 feet out.
Okay. So now, because a lot of people use Puhi Bay for swimming and so forth. They go diving and whatever, ocean sport. They do, paddle boards and so forth. So, who would be the person, or what department or agency would be able to do the monitoring to make sure that that area is okay?
Okay, I see where you're headed with this question, so let me clarify. This is treated sewage, so it's been treated to the standards that are prescribed in the discharge permit.
No, I understand, but I mean, there still is,
image or the perception.
Yeah, people, because I've been at the committee meeting when this happened. I mean, it was, I guess they were told or they heard about it, and so they were kind of like concerned about the quality of water.
The quality of water, as far as I know, is not detrimental to human health.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one more follow-up question?
Sure.
Or you can go
Okay,
first.
I'll go to Mr. Paleka first.
Hi, good morning. I did speak to Miss Robin Bauman, and she had mentioned something regarding discussions with the Army Corps of Engineers with the erosion at the as it goes out. And what are you thinking? Is the funds that you're requesting are also to address that matter?
Yeah. The erosion, okay, that's also something else that's happening with the outfall. The erosion has to do with the gravel bed support for the pipe. The pipe is cradled, okay, so that it doesn't move. So over the years, strong currents have eroded or removed some of this material, so it needs to be repaired. So that's the undermining efforts, or the undermining repair efforts of that. And then there was, originally this project started out as a $1 million project, and that's been funded, I understand. So that's what that's about.
Okay. Good. And one more question regarding the rove that is supposedly used to inspect the pipe.
The robotic.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And none of the, well, I don't believe when I had the conversation with Ms. Bauman that there are no vendors within the state, that we have to go out of state to get this type of expertise.
That's correct. It's a very specialized piece of equipment that not too many people, well, nobody here in this state operates such a thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Ms. Willie.
Yeah, I would appreciate getting a copy of the assessment when you've completed that, and finding out sort of what the assessment shows and what is happening. Can you get that to us when you're?
I'll direct your request to the director.
Okay. And in terms of the violations, I mean, it would appear you just discovered these. I mean, are they just saying they're violations and you have to correct them, or are we getting any fines, or how what's the interaction there with the EPA?
They exist as compliance orders, so we need to fulfill them. There are no penalties at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Mr. Kanuha.
Thank you. There's a quick question. Somebody mentioned to me, or I don't even know if it's with this pipe, but is there a type of rare coral growing on this pipe?
There is coral growing on the pipe. You would expect to find that. Coral grows on rocks, whatever. As far as a rare coral, I don't know anything about that. I'm not an expert.
No, somebody mentioned to me that there was this type of rare coral growing on the pipe, which the EPA is saying you can't do too much with the pipe because of this rare coral. So it was just somebody threw that at me, but just wanted to mention that. Not, probably might not even be true, but I just wanted to see if it was true or not.
I know we need to be careful with the coral and not disturb them,
Okay.
and we'll be careful. Mhm.
Any other questions? I just have one. When do you expect the work to begin? Or
I expect the assessment to begin probably sometime this summer because it does take time to line everything up with the robotics equipment, getting everything else in line and prepared. So that's what we're looking at is probably summertime to start the assessment. Then after that, we will probably a couple of months after that, we need to go out to bid to do the construction portion of it. That's after we have an idea of the repair method. Then we'll go out to bid.
And then after all the permits are granted, the actual work is...
We don't need the permit to do the internal pipe work, but we do need the permit to do the repair to the support bedding, the undermining work, because it's on the outside of the pipe. Anything on the inside of the pipe, the permit is not required.
And then the project would be completed within several months after?
I would think probably before the end of this year.
Okay. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Onishi?
One more. Durham, if you can keep me updated on what's going on, so that way I can keep the Kikaha Community Association updated on what's going on too. Okay, and then we'll have staff. Well, I'll send an email to you, just a reminder.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further questions, all in favor of Bill 20, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Kanuha and second by Ms. Poindexter. This meeting's adjourned.
I said that because it was really weird that the EPA was telling them you gotta fix the pipe, but then telling them, oh yeah, she can't do anything about the pipe because the coral's on the pipe.
Are you coming tomorrow?
I was like, how is that gonna work?
Good timing. What? I think so. You missed the statement. I missed the number.
Actually,
No. I'm just eating, so I know, like, kind of rude. Usually.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks.
order to do. And God promises for us.
Test.
Thank you, Scott.